Bobby Roast Beef here. Another episode of Jigs and Bigs kicking off, man. We have a good one this week. Yeah, we don't have a guest in the beef seat this week. However, we do have Joe Brown back after his palatial stay on the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, he was stuck in that nor'easter. We're going to hear all about it, find out what happened, what kind of danger elements were floating around. Plus, I had a big week on the water this week. We got lots of good stuff to talk about. A couple of really, really good additions in the live well this week. Some of you guys have been reaching out with really great questions. We're going to be talking about classic baits. We're also going to be talking about some changes potentially to the multi-species scavenger hunt coming in 2026. We have an amazing FTG this week that is just mind-blowing, but we also have something positive as an FTG. I'll explain when we get there. You're not going to want to miss out on any of this stuff. We got all kinds of good stuff to talk about, catching up on our weeks, man. YouTube is just going crazy this week, or actually for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be nuts. Go ahead, grab yourself something delicious to enjoy, guys. We got more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this. Don't go too far. Don't go too far. Here we are. We're here. It's Jigs and it's Bigs. It's just, man, what a freaking wild freaking week. I'll tell you, you guys have been blowing it up on Spotify, by the way. Last week's episode was just absolutely nuts, and we've had like record numbers. The ratio has swung so much to Spotify versus our normal platform where folks are kind of the majority is an Apple Podcast. So I don't know if Spotify's doing some stuff to like push the show a little bit more or something. What's going on? But you guys are listening over there, and it's cool.
I've even noticed myself like starting to gravitate more over to Spotify for my podcasts. So there must be a reason. I don't know what it is.
It's crazy. Yeah. You know, while we're talking about podcasts and stuff, there isn't a week that goes by I don't get an email from some sort of like a consultant or specialist on content creation or whatever, you know, wanting to have us utilize their platform to grow the podcast more. And I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but there was this one email that came through, and it was someone basically was like, "Oh, we'll offer you a free audit of your show and give you feedback on what you can improve and blah, 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 blah." Basically, they all said the same thing. You guys need to be doing a video podcast. And I'm like, that does not work with our platform, with our format. It just nobody wants to watch a 3-hour show of two talking heads, you know. Yeah. And then like the poor guests, then they have to worry about like, oh, this is going to be on visual too, you know. It's just like it just doesn't make sense. However, you know, you and I do a good job, I think, of embracing the visual media on our own YouTube channels too. You know, I think the only way like the talking head platform like is good is when it's live. When it's a recording and like just popped on YouTube, it's like I've never once watched. There's only one podcast I've ever watched like talking head styles on YouTube, and that's a Sean Ryan podcast. Yeah. And actually, I've watched Joe Rogan a couple times because sometimes he shows like photos and stuff, so I kind of want to see. But you know, that makes sense. I get it. You know, it's like
ours isn't that.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's too long, you know?
Yeah, it's way too long. But like you said, for like if we went live like on, you know, Facebook, like Instagram, whatever. That's a little bit different. But it's not like actually uploading the video to any like YouTube or whatever and keeping it there. Like it's just I don't think the tracks. And you know, for you who's like really has been really doing well with the fishing content. You know what I mean? On your YouTube, like you don't want your, you know, those videos to get smothered by a bunch of the podcasts.
Well, and that's the thing, like the podcast is on YouTube. Like a lot of people ask, they're like, the podcast episodes, if you go to the Jigs and Bigs YouTube channel, the podcast is there. You just don't have our mugs in your faces. It's just the cover art on the screen. I think a lot of people forget that. So that was their biggest thing. The other thing, they were just like, oh, you should run it through our filters because the audio should sound nice and crispy. And to them, I say, fuck you, because I take a shitload of pride in the way that this show says. So my response, and they were like, what did you think? And I was just like, not interested, period. done. I'm like, you guys don't get what we're going for, man. You know, we want people to be able to have this show in their pockets, on their kayak, on their boat, in their headphones, while they're on the bank, actively listening to it. And it was Kevin Mahoney. When I was on the water with him, we were talking about exactly this. And he was like, dude, he goes, for my work, he travels a lot for work. So he'll be on the road for like hours at a time. He's like, I have to go to like here or there. And he's like, that's like an episode and a half. You know, and I'll go and I'll catch up on stuff. So he's like, even though I like, you know, to pop in on the live streams and stuff, when you do that stuff, like, I definitely am listening to this show. And Todd says the same thing. He's like, I listen on the way to work as well. Watch him at work. I hit play to see what's going on. Then I'll hit pause and swing by my phone to see. That's what I'm saying. But it is a challenge. Like if you were like, oh yeah, they keep teasing this interview or the live well, there's something in there that I want to hear. And then you're like, oh, there's like a 4-hour long podcast of these two idiots just yammering. Here we are. We're yammering.
Yep.
How was your week, Joe?
Dude, my week was good. Yeah. I was soaking up the sun in Bermuda.
Pictures look great.
Thank you. We took the kids. The wife and I took the kids. We went on a cruise. And then my brother, his significant other, and their son came. They're 6-month-old, as well as my sister, her husband, and then some family friends. So we kind of went into like a group, and we had a blast. So I'm just gonna get right into it. So
go for it.
I'm gonna you. I've talked about it a million times on the show. Like, I get seasick. Like, it's kind of a thing I have.
I was wondering how this is going to play out for you.
Oh, so on the way there, fine. Some you know. It's like, it's not like this. It's more of like a little bit of this here and there, which I'm fine with. And it was a little rocky like that all the way there. Got to Bermuda, had a fantastic time. The beaches there are phenomenal. The pink sand beaches. Cause you know, it's a United Kingdom territory, you know, so it's a lot of like England, like based people, stuff like that. So you're in a different country.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. Like, the boy, last time we went, the boys were pretty young, and so I didn't remember a lot of it. And like having the taxis, you know, being on the other side of the road, and the steering wheels being on the right, that like blew their mind. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And, yeah, so that, and dude, we hit the beaches. I got fucking so smoked. Hold on, let's see. Maybe we see a little bit of the peeling still going on, but not really. But I got smoked. I got so sunburned, and it was worth it. You know, we I think it was the third day at Bermuda, because you're docked there for like 4 days, dude. It's not like you're bouncing island. Like, it's 2 days there, 4 days, and then 2 days back, basically.
That's awesome.
And so we stayed there. We hit a couple beaches. The last beach we stayed at, Snorkel Park. So the dockyard, it's a naval dockyard, and they built this like gigantic fort around the ocean.
Yep.
You know, back in like, they started it in like the 1700s, finished it in like the 1800s sometime.
Oh, all right.
But it's still there, so it's cool. So like the beach we were at was like right next to like one of the walls, like for the fort and stuff like that, just as that crystal green blue water. Like, it's
amazing.
It's called Snorkel Park because there's so many fish in and around there. So the kids grab their snorkels. They're seeing like the shit you only see at like aquariums or like at the pet store. You know what I mean? And a couple barracuda, which are wicked small ones, which are funny. So I'm like, don't put anything shiny on. And so we did that, dude. Yeah, we did that. We had such a good time, man. It was on the way there. On the way back, on the first day, on the stroll back, we had a phenomenal room. We got like a family suite, 2-bedroom family suite.
Oh, that's nice.
It was big enough to where like the rest of my family could come and hang out if they wanted to, or like watch, you know, my baby nephews, things like that. And Pickle Park. No, Snorkel Park. So on the way back, so the boys are in the pool, right? On the cruise ship. Mm-hmm. Jackson and Jeremiah, they both have their snorkels, and they're like snorkeling the pool because they just snorkel all the fish, so now they're like huge into snorkeling.
Yeah.
And they're both phenomenal swimmers for their age. So Jeremiah's going right down to the bottom. Dude, he goes down, he finds a stone, right? About the size of a dime.
Okay.
Right? A little less small than the size of a dime. Looks like a diamond, right?
Really?
And so like Meg, so I was up drinking with my brother-in-law and my sister. Meg was like doing something.
Yep.
And because Emma, she was getting Emma from like the kids. That's a great part about cruises. Everyone, so I don't know how it is on other ones, but Norwegian, if you go on a cruise and bring your kids, there's this thing called the Kids Club.
Oh yeah.
While you're on the ship, you don't see your kids at all, and they're love busy the kids doing club.
Shit. Yeah,
dude. So it's like it's great. We didn't even see Emma and the boys at all. Like the boys are old enough to where they can check themselves out of the kids club and they just explore the ship, dude.
Yeah.
We didn't see any of them the whole trip. It was great. I love my kids, but it was great.
It is nice.
But yeah, so Jeremiah comes up, shows Meg. She's like in Meg's head, she's like, oh man, this must be like costume jewelry. It was not. So there was a wedding on the ship right before we disembarked or whatever.
Yeah.
And the bride, her ring, she was in the pool and the diamond came out in the pool. It's like an 8-foot pool. Dude, the thing was like fucking 5 or 6 carats or something crazy.
No way.
Dude, the stone is probably worth like 20 grand.
Holy shit.
So Meg and Jeremiah go up to like the pool, one of the pool bars.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, like this is probably like costume jewelry or something, but he found it and like wanted to be, and there was someone at the bar was like, oh my God, like that's my sister's like stone. Like, yeah, it was the bride that just got married.
No way.
Yeah. She lost her stone in the pool and fucking Jeremiah found it.
That's wild.
I was like, see, dude, you're going to have some great karma, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh man, that 20 grand would have paid off some shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? But he did the right thing. And
sometimes that's more valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So he, so that bride, her brother, they were super like thankful. Yeah, so the last we got back Friday. So Thursday, dude, at like late Wednesday, overnight into Thursday, and all day Thursday, we were going through that nor'easter.
How did you do?
Bro, 20-foot waves.
Yeah.
20-foot waves. How did I do, Bobby? I didn't leave fucking bed for 24 hours.
I believe it, dude.
Every time it looked like I would hear noises and shit because the kids and Meg were fine. I was like, you motherfuckers, dude, that pisses me off. Dude, it was so rough. It looked like a fucking poltergeist in my room. The fucking cabinets, everything are swinging over. Dude. The furniture's going back and forth. Literally looked like a fucking Paranormal Activity. Yeah, dude, that's literally what it looked like. Like shit just slamming. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And dude, I like for 1 second, I kind of like looked outside and it literally looked like it. So I never threw up. I just felt like shit.
Yeah.
It was just like, I wasn't like, it was just like, it felt like my equilibrium was like just super off.
Yeah.
And like where you get like that nauseous feeling. But, dude, it looked like a fucking scene from The Deadliest Catch outside.
Oh, I believe it, dude. Like the fucking perfect storm. You're just like, what the fuck?
It was insane.
It was a crazy storm.
Oh, dude, like Meg was like, people were puking, some dude fucking like fell backwards, like threw his food like fucking everywhere. Like people, oh yeah, dude.
My God.
Yeah, like in the buffet. And it was wild, dude. And like just the noises and shit the ship was making.
Oh,
I'm like,
fuck, I believe it, man.
So now I'm like, so you do like that muster station thing when you first get on the ship, like here's where you people are gonna go. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, so I'm gonna run there. I was like, and like in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna like, I will beat the shit out of some old lady, like to get on the, like I will fucking level this bitch in order for me to get on that lifeboat. Like I will fucking Colin McGregor this friggin' chick. And the crazy part is, dude, is like the last cruise we went on, like it was like they're not like kid cruises, you know what I mean?
No, dude, definitely.
This one was like the fucking nursing home. Like, there's no way people didn't die and they were like down in they were that fucking old on this fucking ship. Like, there's no way there wasn't people like
you're telling me that your ship had a hospice,
dude. Like, there's no fucking way that there wasn't somebody on ice in the bottom of the ship because they fucking kicked it there. That's like how old some of these people, dude. Out of the 2,000, like 2,200 people on the ship, there was like 20 kids. Like, that's it. Like, wow. 20 children. Yeah, it was crazy. So like, it was like so many old people there. I like had a legitimate conversation with Meg. I was like, there's fucking no way that someone's not going to die on this. Like, dude, with the way those waves were, someone definitely broke a hip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like falling down, like going from one deck to the other.
Dude.
Oh, shit.
But here's where it was great.
Mushroom.
You know what old elderly people do when the boat goes into port?
Leave.
They stay on the ship, dude.
Oh, they stay on the ship.
They don't even fucking leave the ship. So like, the beaches and like getting off wasn't even that bad, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You get a break from all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the perfect storm, dude. That was the worst fucking 30 hours ever.
That's terrible,
dude. Like, I didn't want a vacation to end so bad in my life.
Yeah, you're like if we could just go home
wanted it to be fucking done, dude. And like on the TV, like I'm just sitting there watching the TV. So it's the same 4 movies, dude. So I saw Wicked 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
I saw the Barbie movie 2 or 3 times.
Oh God.
I saw The Wild Robot, which is like some new kids movie that just came out.
Yeah.
The new Sonic movie, saw that a bunch of times. And Twisters. Yep, saw Twisters a bunch of times.
Wow.
So there's not like an on-demand thing, which blows. But yeah, so when it finally ended, dude, I was just like, thank fucking God. And I told Meg, I was like, babe, I fucking love Bermuda, but we're flying next time.
Oh, dude, that's the way to do it.
I was like, I don't know if you're going to get me on another cruise again. Like, just because like I was fine for 80% of it, but it was that fucking last 30 hours, dude. I was just miserable.
And that's the worst part. Like if it's choppy and it's rough on the way out, you're like, oh God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But if the rest of the trip is great, you kind of get over it a little bit. Yeah. When it's the last fucking taste in your mouth, you're like,
that's what killed it for me. That's what killed it. Yeah. And they, and the crazy part is well, not so my, it wasn't just me. Like the Meg and the kids don't get seasick. Like, that's like, it's a weird thing. Like, I've never seen a kid, like a child get seasick in my life. Meg's just a fucking animal. But my brother and his girlfriend, they got sick. They were like kind of the same as me, but it kind of hit them a little bit later.
All right.
Yeah, and then they had their 6-month-old nephew. Or yes, with it. So they're like both kind of seasick. Like, all right, who's turn is it to take care of Shiloh? You know what I mean?
Sucks,
yeah. They're trying to, and it's the last night, so they got to pack. So like, I had to suck it up for like a few hours that last night because we had to pack up. Dude.
Oh, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's fucking 6 of us that Meg and I basically got to pack for the kids.
Oh yeah,
they'll leave shit, the dipshits. But dude, it's funny because like. Have you ever been on a cruise?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like when I was like 16 or 17.
Maybe you'll remember this, dude. Mm-hmm. The whole next day, you still feel like you're kind of on the ship. Like you feel like you have to kind of like
compensate when you're on land. So yeah.
That stopped for me like 3:00 the same day. Meg was fucked up till like the morning. I saw my brother-in-law who didn't get sick on the ship. Mm-hmm. And because we had my sister-in-law's birthday party the next day.
Yep.
And I see him. I'm like, dude, you look like, I was like, what'd you get fucking shattered last night? He's like, dude, my equilibrium is so fucked up. He's like,
he's just like drifting as he's walking.
Yeah, dude. He's like literally like, he's like, and he's a trooper, dude. I was like, dude, you good? He's like, no, I'm not good. So he was like fucked up the whole next day. But other than that, dude, we had a fucking blast. We had such a good time. And so yeah, that was a cruise. I'll never do a cruise again, or not for a long time at least. But I did get on the boat. I did take the boat out, and
that's awesome.
Got on some fish, dude. It was so it was yesterday. It was fucking cold, dude. Like,
oh yeah,
I wore sweatpants and a hoodie, and I get out there, the wind's starting to like blow. I was like shivering, dude.
That's how it was Saturday.
And I was like, and I thank God I had my rain gear on the boat because it like, you know, blocks wind and shit. So I was good after that. And I brought Draco's first trip on the boat this year.
Oh, nice.
And he was pumped. He fucking loves being on the boat. But dude, it was the water temp was only 57, nothing on beds or anything. Like, yeah, that's fucking dead and gone.
Yep.
And the only thing I caught was fucking smallies on jerk baits and one or two on a shaky head. Yep. And I caught one fucking slab of a crappie on a Demiki rig. But yeah, dude, and I was talking to Bogley because he went out too. We thought about meeting up at the same place, but we both kind of got later starts in the morning. But
yep.
He's like, we're texting while we're fishing. He's like, dude, he's like, they have like lockjaw, like they're not fucking biting. I was like, dude, I've only caught smallies, and like, you know, Bobby, you know that body of water. It's not hard to catch a bunch of smallies.
No, definitely not.
You can pretty much throw fucking anything, dude. And you're gonna catch a couple. Yeah. They might be like 10 inches, but you're gonna catch some smallies.
You'll get bit. You will.
Yep, exactly. It's in but he ended up telling me later on the day he ended up finding them in like 28 feet of water. He ended up pulling a couple of good ones.
And this is like, Sunday?
Yes.
Wow. Yep. All right.
Yeah. So was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday.
It must have been yesterday.
I'm all fucked up, dude. So
long weekend,
it was
fucking crazy.
Yeah. So he's like, dude, I found some largies. He's like, they're fucking super deep, you know, because they're probably
crazy. They just got pushed back, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Dude, the water temperature where I was 57, 58 degrees.
You know,
we're almost in June, bro. We should be getting ready for top water.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, and you're right. Like you mentioned before, and I said this the week prior. I even said it in that video when I was with Becca. I'm like, I don't think I've actually seen an active bass on a bed at all.
Nope.
And I've for sure have seen beds that were made. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, yeah, that's definitely, you know, where you'll see like an isolated bed somewhere. You're like, okay, I'm pretty confident that is a bass bed. And like and some of the water I was fishing was super clear. And yeah, I don't know. And I don't have that level of experience to confidently say like, so this is what's going to happen. I can only make the assumption that they're pushing off again and will come back, and it's just a matter of getting that pattern of weather to where we have a long enough stretch where it doesn't fuck everything up. So it's
like for me, like I keep traveling and go like in my head I'm like, we must be post spawn, but now I'm like, are we not? Like do they just keep moving out and like they haven't spawned everywhere? Like are we still kind of like in a pre-spawn fucking going on? Like it's weird, dude.
I feel like there's this odd sort of lull in the transition. Like I don't know that I would consider it a pre-spawn if they're moving back out, but I do think as they start to swing back in, you'll kind of get some of that fired up feeding, you know. And then what does that mean? You know, you have to ask yourself the question, does that mean that like, oh yeah, they're going to fucking be feeding crazy heavy? And you know, what's that going to mean overall for the population? That could be really good. We could be talking giants within the next year or two, you know?
Sure.
So who knows? You know, I haven't, like I said, like I just don't have the experience of it. But it's
and where it was weird for me is like, I was like, what the? Because here's what didn't make sense. So you get the bass make the beds, the bass spawn, the males guard the beds, and then, you know, once the fry or like move out or whatever, the bluegill typically move in.
Yep.
Not only was there no fish on the beds, Bobby, there was like debris in them already. So that's what makes me think that like that there's no way that fucking cycle has happened already with the temperatures and shit. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. So it's like, did they make the beds get to a certain point and then they're like, oh shit, let's move back out or do whatever?
That's what I'm thinking.
And then there's, you know, because there's like the bass there's no fucking leaves in there or like shit like that. Like they keep those fucking things clean, and like everyone was like, they look like old beds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't I'm like, they didn't have that round shape. They might have been a little misshapen.
So they had the perfectly round shape.
Yeah.
but they still, which is weird if you think about that, bass can make those perfectly round shaves. But anyway, yeah, but dude, there's like debris, like old like leaves in there and shit. And I was like, this makes no fucking sense.
It's so weird.
Yeah, dude. Because with the 360, I can spot the beds. I was like, dude, I'm trying to fish the beds. I'm like, oh, there's got to be a fish on the bed, you know, because I'm gone so fucking much, and so I'm like, I don't get a hit, dude. You know what I mean? So, dude, so what I do, I just fucking mosey my way, right? Because I knew where it was. I could see it was shallow enough, and that's where I was like, there's fucking debris and shit. Like, what is going on? Right? There's not even like bluegill around.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch. You know?
Yeah. And
fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. I don't know where we are in the fucking, I haven't talked to enough people about it. But you know, I bet you they're all spawned out like down at the Cape and shit, but like here it's like, I don't know, man. It
is bananas, man. It is bananas. Well, that's good. I'm glad you got on the water this week at least, you know, a little bit. Yes. That's good, you know?
Yes. My boat's still fucking hooked up. I gotta go unhook that thing so I can go back to work tomorrow. Boo.
I think tonight I'm gonna go out and hook my boat back up. And I'm going to send it, I think, tomorrow. I was going to today. I ended up doing a little bank send today. But last week, so after we finished the Open, right, it was last Monday, and as a matter of fact, I recorded a segment with Tim Behan and John Higgins. Actually, both Tim and John are in the chat here. And I just kind of like reviewing the Scavenger Hunt Open. And that video is going to be dropping, I think, on Wednesday. And we talked for like about a half hour just about some of the, you know, our experiences with it. We talked about some of the bigger fish, like what kind of separated our stringers overall. It was a wild, wild week, man. There was a time where I think it was actually Saturday. So there's a video that just dropped last night, and it is a compilation of what went down Saturday and what went down on Sunday. Sunday was kind of lackluster. I did get that pike that I needed that day, but I forgot my mics and everything back at the house. So there's no audio for any of the stuff. I just did a little voiceover recapping some of that, some footage from my phone, and that was it. But Saturday was a really great day. Like I had a real good time. And I have been loving taking Eleanor out with me. Like
that's awesome, dude. I saw that.
Man, it is just so much fun to have a dog on the boat, you know?
And it is. And like we both have dogs that behave very well in the boat. Like, I mean, Eleanor just sits in the fucking doggy bed. Like that's awesome. Yeah,
she just fucking lays
like,
down.
Draco's
she'll get up
and
look
around.
At fish.
Yep. That's what Draco, like I mean, I think you probably saw the TikTok I put up. Dude, he just sleeps. Like, you know what I mean?
It's the best.
And when he gets up is when I like it's crazy. He knows when I set the hook. He's like, he's like, here we go. And he gets up. And
let me get the net.
He gets all excited. He's trying to fucking nip at the fish.
That's freaking awesome.
I'm waiting for him to get a hook or a spine from like the bass or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Another quick thing, because you're talking about the mics and stuff before. I don't want to cut you off too long. I did a little bit of an upgrade, Bobby.
Oh, what'd you do?
I did a camera upgrade.
You did a camera upgrade.
So you know the video camera I had?
Yeah, that's a nice camera too.
So I went to a mirrorless unit, like a standard So it does much nicer video, but so I can take like some nicer photos when I'm on the water.
Oh too. Yeah, man, nice.
So
dude.
I did do that.
That's awesome. It's a little bit smaller platform too, being mirrorless.
Much smaller. Nice. So it's a little easier to carry around and like you know, to get like a gimbal or whatever. And thought it would come in handy when I'm like down at ICAST and shit.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That's awesome, man. I've considered doing that myself, but I'm like, right now, I'm not necessarily in a spot where I want to do that. Having the multi cameras and the drone is, for me, has been great. I actually haven't put a drone shot in anything in a little bit. It's time. Yeah. It is definitely time. So yeah, and it's funny, we're going to talk some tech. So, you know, we rounded out that week, and after I recorded that segment with the two guys, I was like, I need a break. I'm going to take a few days. Yep. I'm not going to fish for a little bit. And, but I did want to work on some stuff. So I made a decision a couple weeks ago, and I think I might have actually talked to you about this already, Joe, about what I'm doing, but I did figure out what's going on for electronics on the boat. And here's the reality. Bobby Roast Beef has run out of fucking money. I'm not buying anything new right now. I'm just not doing it. The bank is fucking closed. Yeah. I'm like, it ain't. Yeah. I gotta tighten the fucking the belt. You know, I still have like boat payments and shit to make, stuff like that. Yep. And I'm like, it's a weird kind of flex having the year that I'm having and not using any electronics.
Yeah.
But I do have units I could use. So what I'm going to do is this. I went and I was like, so what do I need to make this work? You know, my kayak, and I do still use my kayak. I'm going to be honest. The 7-inch screen I have on my kayak, that Hook 2 is overkill for that boat. It's nice to have the ability to utilize side scan if I need to, but to go and like just scan a body of water is not likely when I'm pedaling. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not likely. But everything is installed in there so nice and like so perfect. So what I'm going to do is this. I was like, my plan was I want to take that Hook 2, that 7-inch Lowrance unit, put that in at the console, right? And I have a transducer mount plate on the transom of my boat on the back already. So the only thing that I need in order to make this happen is I need some 3/4-inch stainless steel screws, because the screws what I ended up doing was buying a replacement transducer. Is what I did. So I got the same triple shot transducer. I was able to actually I had some points at Bass Pro. So I got it for nothing, which is the best. And I was like, yeah, all right. So I'll go ahead. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna wire that sucker up. We'll be good to go. My plan is I'm not even gonna wire it to power right there. I'm gonna take the power, because I got a replacement power cable for it as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that cable like coiled with like a zip tie around it. And I have a 12-volt plug right there. I'm just going to plug it in right there.
Perfect.
And this way I can eliminate it from the circuit, like with no issues at all. Like just pull that plug and be good to go. Just to kind of get things moving. So all I have to do is really run that transducer cable and I'll be good to go. So there's that. The other thing is, when I bought my first kayak from Jay Manning, that Ascend.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I was talking with Delirious, and he was like, dude, he goes, I got a graph that you can put on that boat super easy, because that boat is actually pre-wired for a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And he sold me like for a song, like a Garmin Striker. It's the CV, like a little bit higher def screen. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. Well, then, I never ended up doing anything with that unit. And I actually toyed around with the idea of using it for ice fishing as a flasher. But I was like, no. I'm going to just hang on to it. We'll see what happens. Someday something will show up and I'll need to utilize it. This is the coolest thing about this tail. So I'm like, I dig it up and I'm looking at all the parts. I'm like, okay, here's the transducer. And I'm thinking I'm going to mount the transducer to my trolling motor. But I'm like trying to work out the mechanics so that when the trolling motor spins and I'm on like spot lock and stuff, it doesn't get ripped out, So I'm toying around with some ideas. Dude, my trolling motor has a transducer built into the head.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Already built in. I was like, huh. So I messaged Matt over at Hanks Marine, and I was like, hey man, I take a picture of the head. I sent it to him. I was like, am I crazy, or do I have a chirp transducer in this head? He was like, oh yeah, you're good to go. He goes, you might need an adapter. So I picked up an adapter for that. So what I'm going to do is basically just plug in right there, and all that wiring tucks in. I have that on the Lunds, on the Deep Vs. They've got that space where there's like a little flap with snaps that you can hold, wires. I have all my wires for my trolling motor go in there. Nice. And the transducer connection is in there. So I'm just going to set it up right next to the trolling motor on the other side and let that sucker rip, and we'll see what happens. And for power, I should be able to take power off of the trolling motor pretty easily to run that. That should be no problem at all.
Yeah.
I think it should be all right. I only need the positive and negative, so that should be no problem. Yeah. So I'm going to get that going. So we're going to have that's the plan. Electronics on the boat. We're going to be moving on into, this whole deal and making some things happen. And it's going to happen probably within the next week. That's what I'm hoping, if possible. Especially with that, I'm really stoked to actually go and go to bodies of water that I've never, ever really scanned or had taken a look at on a map and actually create something with that Lowrance unit. So that's pretty good. So all those parts came in. Everything's looking good there. I'm pretty stoked. I only got out on the water on Friday. I had so my daughter had a half day, and I was like, man, that's gonna fuck some shit up. So I text my oldest, and I was like, hey, if you're around, could you pick your sister up from school? She's got a half day. And she's like, yeah, of course. I was like, all right, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fishing. Dude, I had such a good day. So
sick.
I went out to a spot in Central Mass, and water level was wicked high over at this spot. And launching the boat was kind of tricky because I had to, there's no docks or anything. So I got to pull way up, and getting out of there was dicey. Loading back up was much, much easier. But I had really low expectations because we had it was toward the end of the week, we got a lot of rain on Thursday, dumping buckets. And I'm like, this is a bit much, I don't know how this is going to play out. We'll see. So I had a couple things that I wanted to do. I wanted to try out. So I had ordered some stuff from Dark Horse Tackle. I had ordered some flipping jigs and some of the Martin's Custom Baits morsels in that bluegill color because of the gold blade as well. So I'm like, I'm going to throw some of these around, see how they do. I'm testing the boundaries a little bit with my BFS gear. And I ended up getting a couple of bites on the microbladed jig. This has put in so much work for me over the last couple of weeks. That's that HH Customs koosh ball bladed jig. And it got a couple of bites there overall, but the majority of the bites that I found were on some rocky flat areas with juvie craw. And I was amazed at how good they were eating this thing. And the juvie craw is kind of interesting because it is a tube. The jig they recommend and they make is a tube jig. It's just a more compact style tube jig. This thing, man, wow. I think I lost one, but I was throwing it into these rocks, and, if I got her hung up, I was able to get it out most of the time. It was light enough where the fall was pretty solid. There were a couple of bites that were definitely on the fall. And I caught a really good size smallie. I caught a 16 and a half that day. I think I counted 8 or 9 fish for the day. It was not that bad. It was pretty badass of a day. So I pack everything up. I head back, and I get home, handle a bunch of stuff. I had work that night, and I had reached out to Paul earlier in the week, and I was like, hey, Thursday or Saturday, what do you want? What do you game for? Now I made a call on Thursday because here we are. It is Memorial Day weekend. And, Friday when I was on the water, it was very much Memorial Day weekend. I actually saw a delivery from Hank's dropping somebody's boat at the launch there so they could go and bring it over to their dock. And I saw there was some other traffic on the boat, people getting ready for the big weekend and stuff. And there was a local police officer in a small boat that stopped me for a security for a safety check, which was awesome. And passed out with flying colors, so we're good to go there. And but I was like, I wanted to stay away from the river. I knew Saturday there was that Berkshire Bass tournament over at the river. That was pretty crazy. I know Alec Plotnikevich was over there for it, and I was a little, I wasn't sure if the tournament was actually going to happen there or not because with all the rain we got on Thursday, I was kind of expecting them to lock the gate.
Yeah,
I really was. But I guess it wasn't enough in order to get that water level up into the parking lot. So they were able to make it work. And I was just like, I said to Paul, I was like, you and I haven't fished this place since September. I go, there's a spot that I wanted to go to, this reservoir, not too far away. But I'm like, let's go and we'll hit it. And I said, I'm a little concerned because the ramp is run by the Army Corps of Engineers. I go, and they like to shut it down if the levels are too high. But I go, let's go, and there's a backup plan. I go, we'll go, and we'll just deal with the fucking shit show for the long holiday weekend if we have to. But let's send it. So he goes, okay, cool, let's do it. So we go to this spot. Not only was the launch open, there was only one other boat all day in the water with us. Only one. And when I say this place is flooded, there were parking areas right near the ramp that were easily 10 feet underwater. Easily. And we were fishing where we would see the tops of trees. And we were just throwing, what were we catching them on? We were catching them on the HH Customs guppies is what it was. So Paul and I, we load up with all of our gear and stuff. And Paul's like, yeah, I got some lures I want to try. And of course,
a lot of whopping and a plopping ready to go.
He was ready for it. And he goes, yeah, let's get out there and do this. I told him, I was like, dude, I go, I'm going to take an extra rod. I go, I'm going to take this BFS combo. And I said, here's the deal. I go, if you want to give it a shot, you want to try it. I was like, this is an extra. Try it out. This was magical, dude. So we get out there and I'm throwing conventional stuff. I'm trying to figure out a bite. I'm throwing, starting with the most obnoxious presentation and kind of coming down. I got a follow on a spinnerbait. Okay. And I was like, okay, all right, let's see what we can do. And about this time that I got that follow, Paul grabs that BFS combo and he's like, I'm going to try this out. There was a swim bait on it. It was a 3-inch guppy, a 3-inch HH Customs guppy. And he makes a cast. And I didn't even realize that he had the combo. Otherwise, believe me, I would have been like, so what do you think? He's he makes a cast and he's like, holy shit. He's like, dude, this thing casts like a mile. I'm like, oh yeah. And I was like, be careful not to give it too much mustard because you will backlash on it super easy. It won't be a terrible backlash, but like it can get away from you quick. That is a very light spool. And he's like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So he's doing it. I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. He gets a bite. I was like, all right, cool. I go, I'm going to give this a shot. So I grab my combo and I have the same bait tied on. The same bait. Yeah. I start catching them. I think I caught first up, I think was a smallie and then maybe a rock bass. Paul starts laying in a smallmouth and we're just back and forth all over the place. Yep. We go over by the dam where it's crazy deep. We fish a little bit over there, try a couple other things. No luck. We move over to this other bank where there's a little bit of protection from some of the wind. And we had wild weather on Saturday. Like we got there and it was cloudy with a light breeze. We launched the boat. We got down to our area and we had a shower come in. Then the wind would pick up. Then the sun would come out. We'd dry out. And then the rain would come again. It was just crazy up and down all day. And we caught fish in a lot of those changing conditions, but it was a lot of like slow rolling these swim baits, nice, gentle kind of rocking action and getting bit. And it was one of those things where I believe, with it beyond the shadow of a doubt, that they were not going to commit to a conventional size bait. I think that fishing that 3-inch size was a big deal. And he saw the light, dude. He saw the fucking BFS Bobby light. He goes, dude, we have... He's like, I got to get me one of these. He's like, this is amazing. He's like, it's like, I go, you're able to take such a downsized presentation, something that's a little bit more subtle and fish it way more efficiently, trying to cover water. And there's a lot of it for us to cover. Man, we had such a good time, dude. Such a blast. And then, so we left this spot. We didn't want to leave. It was getting to be about like 3:00. And we headed on over to grab some food at a spot that we had looked up on Google. And it was a barbecue place. And I was like, hey, bud, let's go pound some meat. And we were all ready to say that to the fucking counter people and everything when we got there. We pull up to where the location is, and there's another restaurant of a different name with people coming out that are like locking the door. And we're like, hey, we're looking for such and such place. I forget the name of it. And they're like, oh, that closed like a month ago. How do you have a barbecue place that closes in the springtime? Like, you just can't make it work in the spring when people are just like, you know what? Barbecue sounds great right now.
Yeah.
And so Paul and I, we were just like, all right, can you recommend anything? Because they just closed. They do breakfast and lunch. And this is like later in the afternoon. And so they're like, oh, go to this place. We went to this place called the I think it's called the Trailhead Ale House. And we just had a couple of sandwiches and a couple of drinks. And man, it was really awesome. We had a good time. Packed up that night, came home. And my next day, I was supposed to go out Sunday with Becca. I was supposed to go out with Becca and Lila for Lila's birthday. Happy birthday, Lila. And I was supposed to go out with Rhea for Roaming Reckless. She is back to pick up Taz, and I guess actually right now Becca and Rhea and Taz are up in Maine at the camp. So we had this one day, and I'm like, we kept trying to pick different spots to go to, and I was like, I started to get kind of the from the wife, and I was like, you know what? I go, I've been pushing it a whole lot the week prior. I go, I told Becca, I was like, I got married shit I got to deal with. I'm like, it's all good.
Yeah.
I was like, I apologize. I was like, I'd love to be able to get everybody on the boat, but I'm like, I don't think it's going to work out. So she's like, no sweat, dude. We'll do this again. I actually might take and go up and visit her in Maine some point this summer when she's up there, because I got to see this camp for myself. It's pretty freaking sweet. So yeah, that was it. I went out today. I did a little bit of a bank send. I had some domestic shit to do around the house. And I went to a spot, and I realized something, man. I've been fishing this one spot since like 2017. Yeah, 2017. And it's pretty much like just throwing lures. Like I go to this one spot specifically to be a lazy shit and just throw lures. And what I love is like the BFS style fishing is exactly what I want to be doing there. That's part of the reason why I like it so much. So like I only grabbed one rod. I grabbed that Pig Jigs rod with the Tatula and this small bag that I have like all my ultralight plastics and everything in, and I have a small day box. I pop that in there. I go over. Dude, I caught a beaut today. A beaut for that body of water. Okay. It was great. I caught another dink afterwards. Then just couldn't buy a bite like anywhere. But it was like, man, I just fucking love this shit. It is great. And it's almost like therapeutic when I go there. Because I'm like, I go there and I'm like, yeah, it's not about like, let's break down this. I'm like, nope. It's like, if this is a good place to go where I would love to, and I could do this, and I thought about this on the drive over. I could take my GoPro with a mount. There's a light post right there. I could wrap a strap around that, put my GoPro there with the mic set up, and I could record an interview while fishing right there. Mm-hmm. And maybe I will for like a Western Mass angler or something like that. Just go. Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to throw lures around. And hey, hopefully the conversation gets interrupted by a couple of dink bass getting reeled in, you know?
Perfect.
It could be cool. I don't know. It could be kind of fun. But yeah, dude, it was so good. So I had a really, really good time. I'm stoked to get the electronics finally like in place. Yeah. And start fooling around with that. It's weird.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is, and I would rather just do the stuff like at this level. I don't want to bother John with it. You know what I mean? Like, sure. For me, this is more like, let me put a little bit of my own blood, sweat, and tears as far as like rigging this and get it going. And we'll do upgrades in the future. That is for sure going to happen, because it's not like my eyes are going to get any better. That screen's going to have to get larger. The nice thing is that I believe I can still use that triple shot transducer with my Garmin, with the Striker, with an adapter. So I don't have to change anything on there, because the wiring will match up too, and I should be good to go. So we'll see what happens, man. It was a wild week overall. There was something kind of crazy happened. So another thing this week that's been nuts is I have been editing my ass off. Like I have been dropping, it's going to be 2 videos a week on YouTube for like until we get into the first week of June, maybe even the second week. I've got on deck right now a handful of really, really solid content that's lined up. I've got a video that is the one that just dropped, is the trip number 4, the 7-day multi-species scavenger hunt. I've got the scavenger hunt series open angler wrap show that is drops on Wednesday. Next Sunday I have one that's called On the Water Jig Tips, because I was like, while I was out on the water on Friday, I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm throwing around this little tube. What is a tube? It's just a differently dressed jig. It's just a differently dressed jig. So let's have a conversation about jigs. And it's probably one of the number one things people ask about. And I think in the description, I put like even the timestamp of like, hey, if you want to get right to the jig talk, go here. Like, make it that easy. There's a bunch of fish catches that are in there, but if you want to get right to the jig talk, go for it. It's right there. And I love the thumbnail for that one. I came out so good with the juvie craw in it and everything. Oh yeah, it came out so good. And then I have another one, and this is the one with Paul and I at this other spot, and that one's titled Bait Finesse Bros, and that one comes out like a few days after the Jig Tips one. So I've got stuff lined up. If you're not, and I decided I'm doing a giveaway on my YouTube channel.
Oh, I was thinking about doing the same thing.
Yeah, you should go for it. I am doing a giveaway at 1K. When I get to it's more than double of what my subs are right now. But when I get to 1K, I'm thinking about giving away like Like, I kind of want to do a combo. I you know what I mean? But maybe instead, like maybe like a signature box of baits, something like that. Because number one, I think the shipping will be better, easier to get around. But this way I can put something together like a signature box of stuff. You know, maybe we'll do it. You know what? Zek's in the chat right now. Maybe I'll do it with Dark Horse, and I'll do like a box where I'll just go ahead and put like, maybe we'll call it $100 value. You know what I mean? And I'll buy the baits, and then we'll just ship them out to whomever, and they'll be all of like the Dark Horse faves for the BRB. You know,
I like it.
Oh, wait, Todd dropped some news today. He says, "Oh, Bobby, I saw my first bowfin today. Swam right under us while we were eating lunch. So freaking cool." Dude, did you happen to notice if that bowfin's pectoral fins and basically all the fins on the lower body, if they were like a bright green? Because if they were, that's a sign that they are either, I believe, like either about to spawn or they are currently like guarding fry. Although you probably would have seen a giant fry ball if that's the case, which is just the craziest and creepiest thing. It's just freaking crazy, dude. Those fish are absolutely amazing. I haven't caught a bowfin in years.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to make that happen. The one thing before we get into any, do we have headlines this week, Joe? We got any headlines?
We have a headline.
Perfect. Yep. Before we get into that, we got to talk about something that's happening this weekend. The Slot Limit Tournament is on, and it is going to be so good. We have, what is it, 6 anglers already, and you're going to hear about one of those in a segment coming up. But we have 6 anglers currently listed. Sean the Fisherman is back in this. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know it now. Sean likes to talk about, you know, some of his days in these catch-em-all style tournaments where he would put up like the ridiculous amounts of inches in these things. Is Sean going to be the one to overthrow Mr. Binya? Is Brody going to be back, and is Brody out for blood? You know, what's going to happen with this one? I did get a heads up that the Wolf of Walmart, Dave Urkey, is too cool for school for this one, and he is going to Disneyland instead. So he is not entering in this one. But Steve Sells, he won 3rd place in April. He's already enrolled in. So go ahead. Todd Sefton is as well. He's ready to go. And I got to tell you, this is like the first go round where like I am selecting a body of water, and I actually have backups of bodies of water. Like if I needed to, I'm like, this isn't working out, we can go here. But I have a plan in action that I think will be very, very good. So if you have not joined, just go to jigsandbigs.com. The registration links are all right there for, I believe, for the June tournament, for the multi-species scavenger hunt, but also for the May Slot Limit Tournament. That is there as well. And then once we get into June, I'll be dropping the one for June. That'll be happening. Usually, I'm going to keep those like toward the end of the month. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. We're going to have ourselves a good one, and I'm really looking forward to it. So go check that out. And in our FTG, I have news regarding the Slot Limit Tournament. Your boy had to put on his tournament director hat and make some decisions this week. And it's for the best of everybody. It's for the best of everybody. So why don't we go ahead? We'll just go ahead. We'll jump into our headlines. We'll see how it goes. Let's this music?
Do
Here
it.
We go.
All right. So Bob, I got one headline. Unfortunately, it's not a good one.
Oh, no.
No.
Is this the one from the Connecticut River?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No,
everybody's been talking about that. You didn't hear about that?
I've been gone for a week. I don't even know.
Oh, man. There was a kid and his girlfriend. I guess they were in a canoe. And
I did.
Everybody's talking about it. I was like, that's why I'm like, we don't need to. When you're like, it's not a good one, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, so this one's kind of the same deal, but kayak angler Ryan Mora.
I already covered this last week.
I haven't listened last week yet.
I already covered this. Did anything change? Like, did they find out what happened to him? Because we were all speculating it was like a heart condition or cardiac related.
So that's still like the speculation. That's like kind of what they're looking at. There was no Well, I guess it's going to be a quick headline. My apologies, Bobby. I haven't listened to last week yet. Yeah, so no, it's kind of the same thing. There was no foul play. There was, nothing crazy. He was wearing his PFD. There's, so there's no damage to the kayak, anything like that. So it's not like it's a boat versus kayak thing. They just think it was legitimately some type of medical emergency, whether it be heart condition, stroke, something like that. And he just kind of, unfortunately went into the water, perished there. They don't know if he drowned or if, he perished before
he landed in the water.
Yeah, or when he was in the water. So no, they're still waiting for the autopsy to come back to get some information there.
That's rough, man. That's a downer of a story right there.
Yeah, actually no, I do have one more. Did you hear about that striper that got caught in the Flint River in Georgia? Dude. 52.2 pounds.
52 pounds?
Yeah, so let's talk about it real quick.
My
here.
God.
My computer just did something weird. I gotta get out of this stuff. So the Flint River officially has a new record striper. The Flint River officially has a new record stripe bass, says the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Wildlife Resources Division. Southwest Georgia angler Travis Harrell landed the striper, which weighed a hefty 52.2 pounds just below the Georgia Power Dam in Albany back in March while fishing from the dam wall. Now, the division has formally recognized the catch as the new Flint River record for Gulf stripe bass, versus Gulf striped bass are genetically, distinct from Atlantic stripers, and they rely on Flint's, cool, whatever. So this is a brag. This isn't like a landlocked striper.
No.
Outdoor Life basically reports that Harrell caught his fish on a 2-ounce pink bucktail jig fitted with an 8-inch long gotcha white plastic grub and a long 150-foot cast from the shore. He fought the striper for about 20 minutes before his friend Doug lent a hand in landing it with a well-timed net job. The fish weighed in a little over 50 pounds, like we said, but clocked in at, the 52. The DNR scale was 52.2 at the Albany office. And it doesn't. So that's basically it, but it doesn't say what the previous record was, but that gentleman's previous big one was 22 pounds. So
he crushed that record.
Almost tripled it.
That's insane.
So that's a quick little tidbit out of Georgia. So until I read this story, I didn't even know that it was kind of like here where they had a striper run. I didn't know they had striper in the Gulf, dude. I thought that was straight up Atlantic. I didn't know there was striper in the Gulf until I read this.
I could see that. It's dude, I'm telling you, I'm starting to see pics of people posting their striper experiences on the Connecticut River. Like they're up here now.
Oh, I've seen a couple big ones get caught.
And I'm like, I really want to splash the boat south of the dam. And just try it out. You know what I mean? Like I think
Mr. Bogley does pretty good doing on the striper in the Connecticut River.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. Yep. I'm thinking, of throwing like a big soft plastic swim bait, something like that. Because the shad run's also happening. So like just mimic that. You know what I mean? It might be something I have to look into.
Yep, I've heard. Swim baits, all that kind of stuff. So
that maybe even the baby A rig would work well.
Ooh. Yeah,
that could probably work real well too.
They could just eat that whole fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to worry about them hitting the hookless,
the dummy hook. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But outside of that, dude, there's not a ton of news out there right now. I guess no news is good news sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Because we've gone over a lot of kind of crazy bullshit things lately. So let's see what next week brings us.
Yeah, it could be in 7 days. Could totally fucking change everything. We'll go ahead, guys. We're going to take a short break. When we get back here, we're going to figure out. I think I got to adjust the tip for you guys. I think so. We got some stuff to talk about in FTG. We got a real stinker, and then we have an odd twist on an FTG that's actually going to end up being a little bit more positive. You guys are definitely going to want to stick around as well later in the show for the live well. The live well, of course, is like our mailbag segment where our listeners and followers can send us questions asking us for our feedback. We're going to be talking about some classic baits that maybe are a little old school, maybe aren't that popular anymore. What ones that we think are sort of like the deal. And we're also going to be talking about some potential changes to the multi-species scavenger hunt. And I'm curious to know what some of you guys think and how this would affect if we had more species to add on there, if you would be a little bit more likely to jump on board and give it a shot. We'll find out, but we'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this.
And perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Just the tip, baby. Just the tip this week. I got a couple of things going for you guys. I am going to this tip this week is more about the content creation side of our fishing adventures right here. We have a lot of folks that ask us questions about production stuff. They're like, hey, I'm trying to, capture some of the stuff so I can look back on my fishing trips and kind of like get some highlights and things like that. And folks ask about cameras all the time. What about GoPro? What about DJI? What about this? And a lot of folks out there, if you've used a GoPro, you've felt the frustration of having your GoPro overheat in the middle or just malfunction most of the time because it's overheating. I genuinely feel like that is the biggest downfall with a lot of these action cameras. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I think a lot of this happens that way is because the batteries are in the device and that battery generates a lot of heat. So you have this little heat source within the camera itself, and if you can remove that, you're much better off. So this tip starts there. Ditch the GoPro battery. Unless like you need it to do something specific like underwater shots or something like that, don't power your GoPro on those batteries if you can avoid it. You're going to want to get yourself a little bit of a pouch, so maybe something waterproof, and keep all the accessories and stuff so you can modify your GoPro on the fly as needed for whatever task that it is. But recording content with a single GoPro does not have to be the headache that you think it is. So step number 1, remove that battery and primarily power your GoPro via an external battery with a USB cable. By doing this now, and I'm going to explain, some people are just like, oh, but Bobby, I'm a bank angler. I can't do that. Look, here's the deal, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This works great whether you're on a bank, you're in a kayak, or you're on a boat. Now, if you're on a boat, I'm going to say this. It is probably the easiest for you to figure this out. I, on my boat, have a USB port right near where I set up my camera. So I have a cable that I just run down my GoPro mount. And actually right now, I have my Bimini top on my boat. So my GoPro is being mounted on a clip mount on my windshield. So it's a little bit lower and a little bit closer, which is not bad for another piece of this segment that I'm going to talk about. It makes it really handy having access to the camera. So I've taken the battery out. I just run that USB cable to my USB port, and I have power like ongoing. I can run and record the entire show. I can run in loop mode, and I'll talk about that. A lot of people have confusion about loop mode. I'm a fan. What ends up happening is this. By eliminating that battery, you eliminate a lot of heat, but you also allow yourself to extend the amount of time so you don't have to change your battery. So if you get yourself like a good travel portable battery, like one of the GoPro one of the Naqua power banks, they're super affordable. You'll be able to record all day long off that battery. Give it a full charge. You'll be able to record all day long with no issues right there. And the GoPro itself won't struggle. It won't overheat. It won't shut off. It won't malfunction because that main GoPro battery is not in there basically holding a bunch of heat. You know, so that's tip number one. Now, like I said, it's easier if you're on a boat. If you're on a kayak, right, and you want to run, you're using a GoPro mount that's a pole, maybe behind you, or something in front of you, or maybe you're using a chest mount. And if you're using a chest mount from a kayak, or any type of a wearable, you know, from the kayak, these will follow the same tip for a bank angler. If you have a hoodie or a pair of shorts, anything with a pocket, stick that battery in your pocket and just have the cable run up, maybe even under your shirt and then back out to keep it from getting hooked on anything. Take a little piece of tape and tape it down to your clothing so that it's there. This is great in like the fall or the spring when you've got like a hoodie with a big pocket in the front. You know, you can just leave it all right in there. Just run that cable right up. It's great. So get a little bit creative with your GoPros. Ditch those GoPro batteries and only use them in situational instances where you need to have this thing be completely disconnected from any kind of wires whatsoever. A waterproof situation, you're going to set it up somewhere and then do a drive-by or whatever it is. You know, think about your camera, but when you're going for long distances and you're really putting in the work, take that battery out. Fuck that GoPro battery. Now, part two, and I only just started dabbling with this, is loop mode. I'm going to tell you guys, initially when I started tinkering with loop mode in the kayak, I had the battery, or what am I saying? The camera behind me for like an over-the-shoulder type perspective. I was trying to use voice commands with my GoPro, and it was not working well. It was just not doing it. I went and I invested in a remote that's a wearable, like wristwatch style remote, so I could control because you have to hit the shutter. The way loop mode works, to give an explanation, is the camera, when you hit record, will start recording for 5 minutes. And then what it starts to do is it will slowly delete those clips, and it will only use 5 minutes of your memory card. So this is great for... I had a situation on one of the days I was out for the scavenger hunt where I had a bunch of videos I hadn't edited yet. And I'm like, I don't have the time to go buy another card, or I'm going to be limited to this. I'm just going to try loop mode. I think I had about like an hour and a half maybe left on this one card. So I did it in loop mode. And what I would do is in the back of my mind, I would just be like, every time something interesting happens where like I say something and it's like, oh, that was cool, I want to make sure to have it, or I catch a fish or I release a fish or something, I would just reach over and hit the shutter. And it would stop recording, and then I could start it up again, and it would be another clip. What it does is it gives you 5 1-minute clips. So editing is so simple. So simple, and it saves so much space. And I think that it works even better in combination with that battery removal tip. So this way your camera is less likely to freak the fuck out and all this other shit. But I am a fan of loop mode. I recorded the entire video with Paul just recently on this send last Saturday in loop mode, and it works so good. So experiment with your cameras, guys. I will say this much: if you have the camera, you know, you've got the camera in a spot where it's tedious to go and be able to access it, to be able to hit the shutter, I could understand why you might not want to use loop mode. And for me, using it on the boat, I think I'm okay with it on the windshield, because I can just turn right around and hit that, boom, I'm good to go. And the nice thing is, finally started using my GoPro in 4K because I'm not filling an entire SD card.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I'm like, and it makes a difference, because a lot of times, like when I'm editing, I'll take a shot and then I'll like create like cuts in that clip where I want to do a zoom in, and then I'll just change the scale, reposition the screen. It works so good. Works so good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, go ahead. Don't be afraid of fooling around with your cameras and stuff, guys. It definitely helps if you have a bunch of GoPro accessories. Put them in something waterproof where they're safe. Put them in a bag inside of a dry bag or something, and keep them like nearby. So that way, if you've got to make a change to your setup, but get yourself some sort of a power bank. I make the recommendation of the Naqua because of the size. It's pretty badass. It is pretty badass. Let's see what we got. We got a couple of other stuff in here. Some guys, they're all talking all kinds of stuff here. First off, John Hagan says, you guys are keeping me sane right now. I'm on the bait chase, but all my spots are asshole to elbow with humans, and I'm a spot passing the time waiting for folks to leave. Well, I'm glad we're able to help John and be a part of the solution. Zach says, Joe is signed up. Oh, is Joe signed up? Then Todd says, have you looked at the Action 5? I've been looking at that, but I'm not doing YouTube. I haven't looked at the Action 5.
I have not either.
I know a couple of folks. Action 5, that's a DJI, right?
Right.
Yeah. I know a lot of folks that absolutely love DJI. I have, like, my drone is DJI. Yeah. I'm not for or against either one. It's more of like, what do you prefer? Like,
sure.
You know, I mean, some people have just gotten burned by GoPro in the past, and I totally understand that. That's fine. Eli says he's got the Action 4. He goes, I like it, but I've not had anything else, so nothing to really compare it to. And then Zach says, if you want to record in 4K, GoPro is better. The DJI overheats easier. I could definitely see that. And then Eli says, again, I need to get an external battery system. And then Todd says that was the other concern, was overheating. And I've had Eli Client jumps in and says, I've heard so many people say GoPros overheat. And that's the reason, Eli, is because when your GoPro battery is in there, it's going to overheat. Like, it's just basically holding the heat in there. By getting rid of that, you allow it to cool much, much better. And 100% Naqua external is tits. You know, and dude, that's the way to go. And I will say, like, if Naqua were to upgrade that power bank at all, you know what I'd love to see them put on it? Solar panel. Built right in the top. I'd love to see that. Just because you could leave it exposed and have it charge on the go. The one thing, I'm still playing around with some options regarding rain, because so Saturday while I was out, like we were talking about the weather that day being so crazy, I had my bibs on. You know, I was all bibbed up, ready to go. And
yeah, dude,
I had that empty dry bag, and I was like, I'm putting my camera in here when the rain like really started coming down. Put the camera and the mic receiver in there, and it was just freaking bananas. But yeah, good shit. Good shit. What do we got? So now it's FTG time. Are you guys ready for this?
Let it rip.
Put back down. Put back down. Put back down.
All right, guys. So I'm going to bring this way down in the gutter with a big old FTG, a legit one. And then we've got Javi Silva is going to lift up this in our FTG segment. He suggested putting this here, but as an FTW for the win. It's different, little bit of a different beast here. So I'm going to start with a tale. Okay. This was Sunday morning. Your boy Bobby Roast Beef woke up and had himself a nice cup of coffee, a nice delicious breakfast. My wife, of course, went out and worked a double because she's a crazy person. And I had a few things that I needed to do, you know, so I was editing some video. I was doing some prep work and some maintenance and stuff on Fishing Chaos. And the thought crossed my mind. I was having a conversation about the folks who had entered the Scavenger Hunt series, like not the Scavenger Hunt series, I'm sorry, the Slot Limit series. Who was entered in here? And so I go over and I took a look, and I'm looking, and I was expecting to see the same 4 anglers after I had registered. Like, they'd been there for a little while.
Sure.
It was Binya, it was Sean the Fisherman, and Steve Sell, our 3rd place winner from the April tournament, and then myself, me being the 4th. And then who joined in? I think it was Todd had joined in, and we had this other name that popped in, Manuel Gonzalez. And anytime somebody logs in, I like to take a look and kind of get an idea of, number one, is this a name that maybe has come up in the show? Like, I know, like, their Instagram or something like that. Maybe they discovered us, mainly because I want to know how people are finding us from, in Fishing Chaos. Because there is, oddly, I will say this, there are folks that they are so into tournament fishing that they just go on and they look for tournaments that are happening when they're available, and they just join them. And sometimes that's how it happens. So I go and I look up at Manuel's profile, and something stuck out to me. There's a username for that, like a little handle, little @ symbol something. And this one popped up, and it said NF_fishing_TV. And I said, that's kind of funny. It sounds familiar. So I go and I do a little bit more digging and I look at this profile and it's promoting the YouTube channel and a couple of sponsorships that this angler has. So I go over and I'm like, okay, yeah, a couple of brands that they're pro staffing for, a YouTube channel, and yeah, like an inspirational quote there. So I go, I'm like, I kind of think I know who this is. Let's go ahead and see. So I go to the YouTube channel and confirmation. We have, you guys remember a number of weeks back, we had an FTG right here. In fact, I think this is the first time in Jigs and Bigs history that one individual is landing in an FTG spot twice within, less than a year, less than 6 months, shit, less than 3 months. That was Noah Fami, or Fami. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but Noah was, again, a guy who was kind of pegged as possibly cheating in a recent kayak tournament nearby for a local trail. And when he was kind of called on it, at first it was, I don't know what you're talking about. My phone, I don't have the pictures to be able to back this up. There was an update, something happened. And then out of nowhere, he just admitted to it to the tournament directors. So, this information came out and then it came out. It wasn't even through that tournament trail, by the way. That way Bobby Roseby found out about it. It was another tournament trail. Because see, here's what happens, Noah. The folks that are organizing tournaments pay attention to what is happening in the tournament fishing community, so that should something like this comes up, it's not necessarily on the tournament director to go and tell every other person what's going on. Generally speaking, your name is shit right now. It's anybody who has dialed it all to the tournament scene around here knows what's going on. And I have to wonder, what the fuck were you thinking just changing the name? Like, and
I was just going to say, so he was using a fake name?
Using a fake name. Again, far as I know, his name is Noah. Yeah. I don't know if whatever, but he used a fake name, but fucking left the fucking handle for his YouTube channel. Right. And I'm like, which, by the way, is his fucking name, and I don't know what the fuck is going on, but so I did what any tournament director would do, and I'm going to go on record saying some shit here, but I did what I really should anybody, I would hope anybody who's running a tournament at all that runs into this, I immediately disqualified him from the tournament. I just, with one click, DQ'd, done. I don't even know that he's aware that he's disqualified because I haven't heard anything from him. On top of that, I flagged his account on Fishing Chaos. This is another reason. Now, I can't say for certain that this shows up on other accounts where people will say, oh, why is this flagged? Or if it's just something as a reminder to me. But, it's just one of those things where it's like, this is where using that technology is so handy because it lets you do some shit. So I DQ'd him immediately. I have not refunded his money yet. And that's because I know everybody, we have a bunch of guys right here that just logged into this. I know when you fill out your information, there's a spot that asks your payout preference. Finding that is like finding a needle in a haystack. I looked through all the stuff, and this is why guys like Tim Beeham and John Hagens that I'm constantly paying in the scavenger hunt series, and I'm always asking hey, what's your Venmo? Actually, no, with Tim and John, I've got them.
Probably know it by heart.
It's been long enough, but especially with new folks, and I'm Steve Sell when he placed first or when he placed third in the Slot Limit series, and I went to go pay him. Same thing. I reach out and I just confirm, if nothing else. In this situation, I'm going to let him ask for it, and then I'm going to go really? You think you deserve a refund for fucking lying about who you are and doing it in the dumbest way possible?
Yeah, he was obviously. You change your name on there obviously he did that on purpose, or I would think so. So, he's obviously, he knows that his name is kind of blacklisted out there in the kayak tournament world.
He's not completely, he's not completely in the dark about it, but it's like, dude, come on. Like I'm, what would that say if I let him compete, right? Number one, right? Even if I was like, okay, well, maybe, or not even me, another tournament director, maybe like, oh, maybe things are different now, Here's the thing. I could, like, if all of the data on your phone when you submit a fish, right, isn't there, and it comes down to it, and that data is missing, those will be disqualified.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I'm talking location data, I'm talking timestamp, I'm talking all of the metadata. When you hit that shutter, gets recorded on that image, and when you upload it, that goes with it. In fact, in the rules for that tournament, there is a guide on how to check your status in Fishing Chaos to make sure that all of that data is there. So it's just one of those things. I don't know. It's like, I think I made the right call. It sounds like from you guys, Tim Behance is good work finding out what a scumbag. You're not wrong, Tim. Todd says, nice job, Bobby. And, you guys, I'm looking out for, we're here to have fun. I don't need any kind of like people trying to like, oh, I'm going to run this is a guy who literally, what was it, 2 months ago was just like, I'm done fishing tournaments. I'm never. Okay.
Tell me you have a gambling problem without telling me you have a fucking gambling problem.
That's what it is. There's an 800 number for you. And you can just Google it, though, because I don't give a fuck. So with that said, fuck that guy. Like, it ain't happening. I even, I was like, oh, do I want to mention the fake name thing to some of the other local tournament directors that I'm buddies with? Maybe. Maybe I want to. Maybe just to let them know that, like, hey, not only is this person shady as an individual in a competitive nature, but they're trying to re-offend, because I can only assume, you know what I mean? Dr. Phil said it the best. He said it the fucking best. The best indicator of future behavior is past behavior.
Yeah.
Fact. Sorry, bud. All right, I'm on a high horse here. We are going to change. Actually, Javi is going to jump in here, and he's going to give us a little bit of a story right here that I think is going to put a positive spin on this FTG. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do this right here, and here we go, Javi.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Javi. I know that this segment is usually the FTG, the fuck that guy, but I wanted to do something a little different. Something Jigs and Bigs doesn't usually do, I don't think. And I want to change it up and make it the FTW guy, the for the win guy. So I was out here fishing in Minersville, Utah, and I drove over to a spot that I fish at, and I didn't notice how muddy it was, and I parked close to the bank. And when I was trying to move spots, I was trying to get out, and I actually got stuck. I dug myself a pretty good hole. And Bobby, I'll send you some pictures so you can see pictures and videos. And I got stuck, couldn't get out. So I saw the gentleman that was fishing next to me, or closest to me, and I went over to him, and I asked him if he could help me get out. And without hesitation, he came over and helped me get out. His name was Jackson. He's from St. George, Utah. So he drove up almost 2 hours to come fish out here. So, yeah, FTW guy for the win. Thank you, Jackson, for getting me out. And, yeah, man, there's good people out there. He's also a fly fisherman. So, fly fishermen aren't all bad people. But, yeah, just wanted to submit the FTW guy. So...
That's awesome, Javi. A little bit of positivity goes a long way. I'm not mad at that at all.
Hell yeah.
I think that's pretty awesome.
Hasn't been enough of it lately.
No, I know, man, right? And it's like, I thought about doing a video. It ended up turning into the jig video, but I kind of wanted to do a video where I was just kind of fishing, talking about the positives in fishing versus like a lot of people talk, and I've heard this like talked about at length about like, the negatives right now going on. But I mean, that's just fucking humanity. Like that's just how we work. You know what I mean?
For real, yeah.
But a story like what Javi's saying, and I do have the video and pictures, and I'm going to post those on the Jigs and Bigs Instagram and on the story so you guys can check them out. Like he was stuck pretty good. He really was. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah?
Like he's lucky Jackson was there because he was stuck pretty good. Like there's like skids going in and he's like,
oh no.
It was pretty dicey. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty rough, but pretty badass that he was out there and was able to get some help, and that's awesome. Yep. I do like how he was like, yeah, he was a fly fisherman too. Wow, they are good people. Fly anglers are fucking great folks as well. Yeah, I know we like to have fun at the expense of a lot of fly anglers, you know, I mean, it's the same thing. To be honest, I think there are a lot of just bass anglers too that lately we have been having a lot of fun with. And at the same time, even some catfish anglers as well. I mean, it's just the way that it is, and you know, it's just crazy. But yeah, that is a really, really good story. There are good folks that are out there.
Great.
Yeah,
that's
badass, man. Let's go ahead. We'll just shift gears, man. We're killing it. We'll dive in the live well. Right into it. And this week's live well is so good. We've got two questions that have come in from two different folks. One of these is a little bit more of like a longer explanation, but one of these we're going to have a lot of fun with. We're talking some gear. So let's go ahead. We'll do it. Let's get into the live well.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Alrighty, guys. Burning questions. I know you got them. I know you want answers, and we're here to give you some of those answers, hopefully. It is the live well. We got a couple things to kind of talk about right here. And this first one, we're going to get started. We're going to drop this. And I think this little convo could be a whole lot of fun. This one comes in from Eli, and let's just go ahead. We'll play this call from Eli. We'll see what we got.
Hey guys, Eli again. It is got another question for the live well. Been throwing a lot of tubes recently and bought a decent amount on tubes. What are the top 3 old school baits that are now overlooked just because they're not a part of the hype anymore, or they're not quote unquote cool? So what are your top 3 old school baits that still work that might be overlooked now? Have a great day. Bye.
Top 3 old school baits.
Top 3
that have been overlooked. Not looked at as necessarily cool or trendy right now. And he said, I think he nailed one of them right off the rip. And that was, he said in the question, he mentioned he's been throwing tubes and he's kind of been having a good time with them. I don't know, like there's a couple that I think there's a couple that come to mind that I don't think get necessarily the respect that maybe they should. You want to go first, Joe? Do you know what they are?
I got 3 right off the rip.
Okay, go for it.
First one's going to be a topwater popper.
Dude,
the popper bait.
That's on mine too.
So, I mean, I caught my PB on one last year. It's kind of one of those things that's been overlooked because, you know, everyone kind of going to the buzz baits, the whopper ploppers, the walking baits, you know, things like that. But the popper's still out there. The popper is still, I think, the way to go if you're, you know, you have bait busting the top, and it's just, I just don't think it's something that a lot of people even put in their tackle box or in their arsenal anymore. Number 2 for me would be a shaky head. Shaky head's making its way back. I don't think it's used. I mean, I use it a ton. I catch a ton of great fish off it, especially deep. I think that's another bait that's kind of overlooked. But the thing about that is I use tungsten. I use tungsten shaky, hooks or jig heads, and I think that's a requirement. And it's all about the bait that you use. You really have to have something that's emphasized and designed to be a shaky head bait. 3 for me would probably be a curly tail worm or a ribbon tail worm, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Again, kind of one of those things that's starting to come back again. They're always been out there. I just don't think a lot of people use them anymore. Everyone's using for flipping, stuff like for Texas rigs. Everyone's kind of gone over to the more of the creature baits.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And if they take a worm style bait, they're usually, most people are wacky rigging, Nico rigging, Tokyo rigging, like whatever. But that ribbon tail worm still, that's a pretty deadly technique, especially now because so many people have stopped using it. But again, like there's companies that are starting to really emphasize them again. Yeah, so those are my three.
Popper.
A tube would have been on there. Tube would have been on there if I had four. But
I think for sure a popper is on my list. And actually, Eli jumps in and he goes, "What popper? Any specific one?" And John Hagen says he goes, "I still hit with the old Rebel popper in shad color."
I'll be honest. I use a very modernized popper. You have those old school Rebels, dude. Those are phenomenal baits. I still have a few of them. Now I use the Megabass and I got Megabass. I got a couple 6 cents and Arc.
Yep.
I typically use.
I as far as poppers go, I love them all. 6 cents makes a popper that I like a whole lot.
Yep.
I just like it's like an ideal kind of size, and the cup is a little bit more of a unique shape. It's you can get it to spit really good, all Haktua, all you want, and you can also get it to chug as well as pop. Like it's really good. I will tell you though that when it comes to like a BFS topwater approach, I think a popper is like a home run because it's so compact and it is very versatile, surprisingly versatile. You know, and I love a popper. I think that it's just one of those old school presentations that some people oftentimes forget, and sometimes it takes I guess sometimes it takes like a really good positive experience to kind of go like, Joe, that I think for you, that's what it was when you hit your PB with that. It was sort of dude, that's what you needed to believe it, you know?
And like, it's crazy because I think I got those those poppers off of the Pop Max off of, I think I bought them off of Spencer.
I was going to say probably Berkshire Pass.
At one of the shows, I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to try something new, top water. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, let me give these a shot. And I caught it even before I caught that, just under 7. I caught a shit ton of fish on it. Like, it was just like, dude, I like any like a lot of the instances I would have typically thrown a walking bait or even like a whopper plopper. I was throwing that popper. And the good thing about that Pop Max is, the way it's designed is it's not just like a pop.
Yep.
Dude, you can walk that thing like pretty fast.
Yes.
It pops as you're walking it.
Yep.
So that's where I was like, okay, that's right. But, or you can run it old school too. And I caught a bunch of those spotted bass down in Georgia doing it, that way. And, I guess like, it's tough because a lot of the old school baits we're talking about are kind of coming back.
Some of them are. Yeah.
But I think Eli nailed it the most. A tube is still one of those old school practices that like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, the tube's coming back. I don't think it's not right now at least, but it's still out there.
Oh yeah. And it still performs,
I still have one tied on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I started to kind of get back into it because a friend of mine uses them. And
and I think with tubes too, like a good example is the Juvie Craw. From the like sometimes what it takes is a little bit of innovation as far as the way that bait's designed to breathe a little bit of new life into it and get it to kind of resurge back. Because like your standard plastic tube is very, very simple. It's like a fucking sock, like a straight athletic sock with ribbons of tail material at the end. So it's very much like left up to your imagination what it's supposed to, I guess, mimic.
What people don't realize, and I've talked to, bait makers about this, tubes are a wicked pain in the dick to make because they cut all those fucking things. You know what I mean? It's like, they're a wicked pain in the ass. So it's like, that's why not as many people make them anymore because they don't sell as well. So it's not really worth the fucking, and the juice isn't really worth the squeeze.
It is interesting too, that there's a lot of folks that will look at like a tube and they'll say, oh, it's a great smallie bait, And I'm like, well, yeah, but the tubes in general run a large gamut, you know? I mean, we've just in Dark Horse, I think we've had a variety of sizes of tubes pop in. And I mean, I'm talking about, this goes over like years. I remember the first tubes I got from Dark Horse, pre Josh and Zach, like I think it was po' boy baits, like unbelievable. And I caught some great fish on those with a really interesting, and what made it unique was that it was a tube. So it was like a little bit more of a subtle, smaller presentation overall, but the jig that came with that, I believe it was from Blue Rock. It was like a wider gapped, weedless sort of rigging. You know, it was like a shorter shank, and it came up, and you were able to like texpose that end of the hook into the plastic, so you could throw it in grass and not worry about it. It was pretty cool. I was like, oh, it's all right. That's not bad.
I'm gonna answer a couple of questions here from
Go for
Javi.
it.
So. Just caught my first fish. He said he had bought the Pop Max. Hope you, dude, Javi, make sure you're working that thing different ways. Like, trust me, you'll catch fish on it. And you just caught your first fish on a shaky head over the weekend. That's awesome. I love the shaky head. And so for the tungsten jigs that I use for the shakies. So I used to use an Eco Pro tungsten. It was Eco Pro tungsten. I actually this year I switched over to the Woo tungsten. The Woo tungsten shaky head, it stands much better than any of the other ones I've because, you know, I'm very finessey with my shaky heads. Like, you have the 6th Sense and stuff like that who make shaky heads, but they're fucking huge. They're like 4/0 hooks, 3/0 hooks. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm very finessey with my shaky heads. You know, I still throw it on spinning gear. But I'm using on casting gear. But I'm using a 10-pound braid to a 10-pound leader. And it's on a medium rod, a 7.2 medium casting rod. Very finessey. And for the baits, my 2 favorite baits, I love the musket from Fish or Die. That's my bigger profile.
How big is that?
Oh shit! It's you had to ask me. I believe it's 5.5.
I was gonna say it's like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I believe it's 5.5. And the RoboWorm straight tail worm, dude.
Home run all the time.
I love that thing. I love that thing. It was funny because I was throwing them like next to Taylor. You know, I have all the muskets. I was like, dude, I was like, I'm going finesse and I'm throwing the RoboWorm. He's like, dude, those things are sick. You know what I mean? And,
how do you argue with that? You know, I mean,
Yep. So, so those are the baits I use, but, I want to check out the SMH jig head. I'm not familiar with those, so I'm going to check those out, Javi. I'll definitely give them a, as long as they're tungsten. For a couple reasons. You know, up here in Massachusetts, we're required to, you know, use tungsten. And then after you use tungsten for a while, you're like, wow, this is way more sensitive. You feel a lot more shit. So then you like just keep using tungsten. But I'll check them out for sure. SMH.
I would say for sure. I think it's a home run. I'm going to say so a popper we agree on 100%.
100%.
Tube. There's innovation happening. All that.
I also agree with that one.
And I would say for my second pick, I'm going to say a Carolina rig.
That's a great one.
I'm going to say a Carolina rig.
That's definitely a dying. Definitely a dying a very old school kind of dying technique.
It is. I'll tell you, but I say this from a really unique position. I am amazed at the number of people I've interviewed over the last 5+ years that have been like, oh yeah, I have a lot of confidence in throwing a Carolina rig with like a big heavy sinker and dragging it on the bottom in the summer when it gets really, and I'm like, really? Yeah. And I've dabbled.
I do not have that confidence.
Neither do I. I don't. Yeah. Like, it's a lot to rig, you know, sometimes. But, and like, I mean, again, it's like, I understand how it could pay out huge. Like, some of the ways that I fish now with like finesse swim baits on, you know, hard bottoms and stuff like that, when I'm like just kind of hopping things along and you know, I can kind of draw a bite out of them that way. I could see where a Carolina rig would work, having that free plastic floating, you know, and just kind of doing what it's doing while that weight is getting dragged in front of it. So I definitely could see that, but I don't know. I don't know if it's ever going to become cool again. You know,
let's rip them this summer, Bobby. We'll do it. I have them. I have the pre-rigs because I'm not fucking rigging that myself.
Yeah,
I have, but I do have I do have the pre 6 cents makes great pre-rigs for the Carolina rig.
Yep.
Both lead and tungsten.
It is a lot to throw. Like it is,
dude. Like I get so, even like drop shots, I get so mad when I like break off because like it's like you're like, all right, gotta tie the hook. It's gotta be a specific fucking way.
Oh yeah.
And then I gotta have enough leader to put the fucking but no, Carolina rig, you're like, oh fuck, I lost my swivel, the bead, the weight, the fucking hook.
It's like $8 to just put that one thing together.
Yeah.
It really is. It is funny that Eli goes, BTL's Matt Pragnarak hates Carolina rigs. There's a lot of people that hate Carolina rigs, and I think it's for the reason we just talked about. Like there's so much stuff. So that I feel like is definitely one. And I'm going to throw this one out there, man. I think a spinnerbait is often overlooked. I do.
I think spinnerbaits have become very popular lately. I
think it's on the rebound. Yeah.
I think even like when I had the shop, I think spinnerbaits were they weren't quite there yet, but in the last few years, I think spinnerbaits have really come back. They're starting to. But yes, I agree. I think they kind of fizzled out. So it's like when one cool thing comes out, something else fizzles. So the spinnerbait fizzled out when the jaded or the bladed jigs started to get popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and
there is a good set of people that are like, those two presentations are interchangeable, and
100%.
And I'm like, and I understand where people would think that, but also at the same time, like, there are options that you can make to a spinnerbait that will make it more subtle that you can't necessarily do with a bladed jig as easy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Like bladed jigs are. What's odd is I used to have zero confidence in a spinnerbait whatsoever, and then I started throwing a variety of different ones, and I think some of the right ones, and really starting to play around with size profile and weight, like running depth, and that has really kind of opened things up to me. Like I used to be like, oh yeah, I got these in 3/8. Oh, they'll be good for everything. Wrong. Like it's not like that.
Yeah.
Then. I would say that, like, same thing with a bladed jig, though. I had like no confidence with that whatsoever. It was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely one of those things, like, you know. And then maybe next week, maybe somebody will call this one in about the most popular, like, new school ones that are starting to kind of drop off.
Yes, that could be a cool return.
That could be a real.
Good conversation because I think I have a few for that as well.
Yep, I definitely think that. Yeah, for sure. I think that when it comes to,
you know, if no one calls it in, Bobby, we'll just do it anyway.
Fuck it, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
You know what we'll do? We'll just that's what we'll do before the show. I'll call him.
Yeah, hey guys,
we got a call from some guy.
What's we're looking for the newest.
Yeah, I think that's a real good idea. So yeah, dude, Eli, that was a great question. Great conversation. I mean, a lot of these, you know, you can even go further down, like get real specific. Like the hula popper specifically is a crazy OG lure from years and years gone by. You can still buy them brand new, you know? And it's just one of those things where it's like they will always catch fish, you know. And I think, you know, people say like, oh, they get used to this bait, you got to change it up. I think that window of time is shorter than people give credit for, you know.
You know what I'm bringing back, Bobby?
What are you bringing back?
You know what? I'm gonna run to Walmart and buy a few of them. I'm bringing the jitterbug back.
Yes, dude.
I'm bringing the jitterbug back.
Oh, you got to. Dude, the jitterbug. Yeah, that's a classic right there. Yep. There's a ton of top waters that are like, they're so stupid, like unique. And, you know, they come and go at the time. Speaking of poppers earlier, I want to mention this. Kevin Mahoney from Biohazard Bassin, after we had wrapped up fishing that day, he gave me this popper. He's doing a little bit of woodworking, and he's basically creating patterns with different grains of wood. And dude, this popper is beautiful. I'll show it to you. I'll take a picture of it tomorrow, and I'll send it to you. It is badass.
All right.
Like, that is pretty slick, man. He's like, I figured it was like more of a piece to like just kind of hold on to. He's like, don't feel pressure like you have to fish it. I'm like, I'll fish it to try it, and then absolutely, I'll hang on to it and put it up as a little decoration there. What's John say? I'll bring the old wooden husky jerk back, dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
I like a husky jerk. So our second topic here for the for our segment, the what do you call it? The live well segment. This came in from John Hagens, and he had sent over an updated species list. Like, consider this like a wish list that he wanted to put together. And he goes, he had messaged me earlier in the week. He goes, he's like, after we had recorded that segment, he was like, I was kind of considering a few things here. He goes, anything that I highlighted on this list there and read their new additions. And he came up with, and we've talked about something similar, but this bonus fish idea. So I'll go over it. And I don't hate it. Like, all of the other species are all on here. We've got, blue catfish, bowfin, brook trout, brown trout, bullheads. I'm only going to give you really the ones that he added. He added 2 here, and these aren't official, and they'll only go official if we're going to do this. It'll be on, I guess it would show up at the beginning of next season. So like next April is when this would go live. But he added, he requested buffalo, black, big mouth and smallmouth buffalo. He put gar on there with long nose, short nose, and spotted gar. And gar is one of the ones that I had a feeling if we were going to add any species, it was going to be gar.
Sure.
And the reason is this: a lot of people think in giant swings a lot of the time. So when they're like, oh, gar, we don't have alligator gar in this state or whatever. But it's not about those. Like, gar, like, you look at the Mississippi River, you can catch gar in Minnesota, you can catch gar at the basin of the Mississippi. You can catch them in a lot of different, and then John has done his homework. He understood the assignment. He sent over a map showing where you could catch, I want to say it was the longnose gar, and it would amaze you some of the areas that they cover. Now, what is the population like in there? I have no idea, but this is a scavenger hunt. It's meant to be about traveling to go and get there, and especially on the monthly level. Like, you gotta play to what your strengths are. Now, I say that on the monthly level, you got 30 days to go and chase these species. You also, at the upper tier, when you're in the opens and you have the week only, you have the 7-day window to do this. It means you might have to be a little bit more choosy about what species you spend your time on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go out and fish and target bowfin and be like, that's what I'm targeting. I'm going to go where like the numbers are the best. And then when you get to the championship, like, I'm not going to say I'm going to go get a snakehead in Jersey and waste 6 hours in the car to go and and for a point. That's I there's other species I can track down. So he's got gar there. He added steelhead to the rainbow trout category. That I think is more just for like I guess like what do you call it? Like, I guess semantics in a way, because they're the same species.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know that, and a lot of this I should say is going to have to do with Fishing Chaos. Like, are these species that are even an option on Fishing Chaos? Because there is that next question, and that's part of the challenge here. Is I have to come up with a well-constructed list, know what the changes are, and then communicate this to Fishing Chaos so that they can make the adaptations. And they've been amazing so far. He added white bass and yellow bass as one category. So white or yellow bass. Now, again, like, which is exciting, they're not around here. You know what I mean? Like, we can't find those fish. I don't mind giving some points otherwise, because like, if you're in an area and you're not going to find a pickerel or you're not going to find a trout, then okay, all right, I'm okay with that. We can keep it a little more competitive. And those are the ones. And then this bonus fish I thought was really good. I always had this idea of like you could submit any freshwater fish. He put a couple of things in here that were pretty interesting. And John, if you're still in the chat, I'd like some clarification on this. Specifically clarification on a few of the species on the banned list. I thought that was very interesting. So the bonus fish would be any freshwater fish that is not a species, that is not on the species list or in the banned list. So it could include any sucker species that are non-buffalo, creek or river chubs, white catfish could fall on there, fall fish could fall on there, tilapia, peacock bass, etc., etc. Only one fish will be permitted for submission in that category. So, like, if you catch, like, let's say you're in Florida and you catch, a tilapia, and you're like, okay, cool, but then you catch a big peacock. Well, submit that peacock. You know what I mean? Like, you get it'll work towards your inches. Pop that in and go for that. So, it would still have the same 8-inch minimum as every other species except sunfish, because sunfish would get in there. And it's possible I could include cichlids with the sunfish category, I suppose. Sure. Their anatomy is very similar, so maybe that's something I could do. But again, like, these are little pockets of the country. That's why I've kind of ignored them for the most part, because like, it's not about like getting every species, because that's something like, especially the Floridian stuff is just insane,
Yes.
Each entry could be evaluated for validity before being made. Now, he did list some of what he goes would be banned species. Now, John, these are the ones that I'm curious about, and I'm going to go through those first. Specifically, the sturgeon and the alligator gar and the paddlefish. I'm curious about those. I know that there are some states, like in Massachusetts, sturgeon are protected. So where we are in Massachusetts, if you do hook a sturgeon accidentally, you are encouraged more so to cut the line than you are to even get hands on that fish.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really, that's how it get. They're like, it's a sturgeon. Cool. Cut the line. They don't even really want you taking them out of the water. It's like that. And I think there are a couple of other states that protect sturgeon as well. Alligator gar, I know, are like really, really super specific. But at the same time, if they had if they just counted as a gar, granted, there's no points for lunkers, so I don't know that we could necessarily ignore them. And then paddlefish. I know that there's, and Joe, you had mentioned that there's a season for paddlefish in some spots.
Yeah, I think Todd just mentioned it. A lot of people snag those.
And that's the thing. They don't eat like that way. Yeah. They're like, I don't know. I would guess you wouldn't call them like filter feeders necessarily, but like they don't eat baits the way that they do. So you do. It's a lot of snagging and stuff. And John goes, he says, paddlefish are protected in some states, including Ohio, and the only method to catch them is snagging. And the same thing, paddlefish is a snag fishing ordeal. So I definitely understand that. Now, the other ones that are on there that make sense, that are kind of like already sort of automatically banned, are saltwater species. This is a freshwater tournament. So that's a big one that's like, nope, that's not going to be in there. Striped bass, simply because with there not being a lunker, I guess it's a little bit less of an issue. But the reality of it is that if you catch a striped bass and it's in salt water, it's very hard to tell, where you exactly caught it. So it's a little bit more, is it, then we run into, so it's just easier for jigs and bigs to say, screw that, we're just going to have a striper tournament. And do it that way. Because I'd love to get involved with striper fishing for sure, but maybe this isn't the right tournament for it if you're into fishing for stripers that much. And then hybrid striped bass. I know nothing about those whatsoever. So I don't know necessarily that they're necessarily worth it. What does John say? Alligator gar just seem like the same scenario and varieties in various states to state. Eliminate these fish, eliminates any gray areas. That's exactly why we had made the choice when we did about the fish that aren't on there currently, was for that kind of reason. We're like, and also we based the original list on what were like the top sport fish species across the country as like sort of a whole over there. But I like the idea, John. I'm not against it. I want to know what you guys think, what the listeners think. So sound off on the hotline. Give us a call or a text. Go to jigsandbigs.com and reach out to us. You can contact us there a bunch of different ways. You can just email us. You can call or text us on the hotline and let us know what's up. John also chimes in about the hybrid stripers. He goes, I can still make an argument for because they are all landlocked hybrids. They are. That does eliminate that. I don't know. It should just be something worth looking into. And it's one of these things that I don't want to jump all into necessarily, but we'll figure out. We'll figure it all out. We'll make some make some things happen. But I think that that's pretty badass. I think that can be a whole lot of fun.
I think something to switch it up a bit. I think it's
yeah,
great idea.
Yeah, and then again, like for a lot of those off species, man, like I would probably, if the Florida anglers are like, we'd love to do this, I would probably be more likely to do a full Florida specific 7-day tournament.
Oh yeah,
a scavenger hunt like that, where it's like, oh, you can catch it in Florida, cool, done deal.
Yeah,
yeah. That said, I don't think our listening audience is that large in Florida, but Florida, where are you at? I mean, if you want to do this, I'm game to do this. We can go ahead and make it happen. Speaking of making it happen, I have a bunch of fish that I need to judge. So I have so much shit to get caught up on. But the 31st is coming, man. Have you registered yet, Joe?
I'm gonna register.
Dude.
I'm locked out. I'm kicked. I gotta remember my fucking password. So I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. They did an update, and I remember I did one for Jeremiah. So the login I keep using keeps going to Jeremiah. So I got to remember what I have.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Huh. Freaking badass though, dude. That's pretty awesome. I think we're gonna have a good time. I was talking with Becca. She's not sure if she's gonna be back in the area and available to fish for it. But there were 2 bodies of water that we were thinking of. One of them is over near you. Another one is in Rhode Island or Connecticut. We were talking about.
Okay.
Potentially, and but we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, I'm stoked. I think this so it's Saturday the 31st, jigsandbigs.com. You can register right there. Register before Friday night, and yes, you do need a catch board. That is the only board that is approved for these tournaments right here. And a lot of people have been asking. They'll look on Amazon and they'll have. I think there's a board that says like Fish Online, and it looks just like the Catch Carbonite board, guys. That is a catch board. If you look on the sides, it does say product by Catch right on the side, and that's KETCH. Just they're solid boards. You can get into them very, very much. You don't have to buy the nice fancy aluminum ones. Those are really nice, but you don't need to. The plastic carbonite boards are fantastic, super rigid, and they actually, I think they take the best photos as far as having a good contrast with the markings and everything. They take great photos, no glare. It's good. So, yeah, man. You got anything, Joe, you want to throw in here?
I got nothing, man. I'm good to go. I did new YouTube video went live at 7 p.m. tonight. It's part 2 of the West Point. So this nice. Yeah, so it's actually the day 1 of the tourney. So it's a good one. So go check that out.
Nice.
American Vet Fishing on YouTube.
I'll go check that out while I'm editing this show, and that sucker's going to be live for you guys. What I'm gonna put myself on the artwork for this. What do you think I should do, Joe? Largemouth or smallmouth for the cover? I caught some decent ones of either.
Smalley.
I thought so too. Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, guys, you have yourself a good one. We will see you guys in with more Jigs and Bigs coming up in just a week. Trust me, you don't want to go too far. I have a really great interview on the schedule this week, and I'm looking forward to talking to this guest, and it's going to be so super freaking good. Has to do specifically about a bait that I have been throwing lately, a couple of different products from this company that I have just been going crazy over. Also may have something working in the pipe, some big news for you guys that could potentially save you some money on some gear. We'll talk about that as we solidify things and forward. I've probably already said too much. I probably already have. Go ahead and register for the Slot Limit Tournament. Get your life together, man. The official start of spring is only about like a month away, guys. Or official start of summer, though it feels like the official start of spring, the way things have been. Go and catch some fish. Tag us in all your content. Remember to take a look at the YouTube channels for both Jigs and Bigs and American Vet Fishing. Remember, Jigs and Bigs channel at 1K. We're doing a giveaway. I think it's going to be a little customized bait box right here. You get a little 36 or a 3700 box from yours truly with some very fun, interesting baits. And I don't know, we'll have some fun with it. You're gonna love it. Trust me, a lot of these things are probably going to end up coming from Dark Horse too, because that's what your boy throws a lot. So have a great one, everybody. We will see you in 7 days of more Jigs and Bigs goodness. You know how it is. Like we always say,
tits and ass, smoke some grass.